Hello everyone and welcome back to the Stormblood Dungeon Lore series. In these videos I'll do my best to explain the lore behind each dungeon of Final Fantasy XIV and go over some things about them that you might not know. Today's dungeon is Hell's Lid and the Tale of Tenzin. The Ruby Sea stretches vast and deep across the gap separating the nations of Hingashi and Othard, and is a host to many a sea creature, as well as being a melting pot of the peoples from both sides of the shore. Thanks to this, the Ruby Sea draws many eyes as being a place of legend, with rumours of the Kami and other great deities such as Susano, Lord of the Revel. One of the most famous tales among the Kojin of the Blue, however, would be the Tale of Tenzin. So it goes that a well-known samurai and hero of a long time past was ordered by his king to journey to the great mountain known as Hell's Lid. At some point he befriended a handful of auspices known as the Four Lords, and with their help they drove a host of Oni from the mountain to the sea. After this, Tenzin was rewarded for his efforts by his country and chose to return deep into the mountains to live out his days in peace. Currently in the Ruby Sea, a popular opinion is that the Oni driven out by Tenzin were the ancestors of what became the Kojin. Currently in Kugane, the Warrior of Light finds themselves in the Ruby Bazaar offices, where they learn from Hancock and Yugiri that a familiar grizzled samurai has been sighted in the crowds about the markets. Agreeing with Yugiri that this sounds much too like Gosetsu to be ignored, the pair along with the twins investigate the rumour, hoping to reunite with their lost friend. Surprisingly, however, the rumour also tells of a woman resembling that of Yotsuyu, fallen viceroy of Doma, accompanying the man. The Garleans too seem greatly interested in the woman, having also attempted to track her down within the city. We reconvene with the Namazu Gyodo, who corroborates the rumour, informing us that the Imperials have moved an unreasonably large number of troops for the recovery of the missing viceroy. He also informs us that the man seen with her sold his katana to a pawnbroker, and the group soon discovers the buyer and the sword still in his care. Yugiri identifies it at once as Gosetsu's, and Alphinaud makes a brash decision to purchase the sword to return it to our friend once he is found. We learn that the pair was also seeking passage to Doma, and therefore the Ruby Sea is our next destination. The Imperials too seem to have reached the same conclusion, as the troops are seen leaving Kugane in that direction, and together with Soroban the group heads out to the waters once again. Soon after arriving, a skirmish breaks out with the smoke being seen rising from the nearby Confederacy-owned island. Springing into action, we make our own way to the island with the Alphinaud and Yugiri, fighting our way up to the plateau where we at last find Gosetsu surrounded by Imperials. We charge in to defend him and another fight breaks out against the remaining Imperials and their Magitek machines. After driving them off, the group finally reunites with Gosetsu and questions Yotsuyu's apparent ignorance compared to her previous demeanour, learning that she lost her memories after the events at Doma Castle. The pair used a firm door floating among the debris to avoid the rushing waters, eventually becoming stranded but alive. They now wish to return to Doma to have Lord Hien judge their character. After this, Soroban continues leading us over to Isari out of sight of the villagers. He then requests that we speak with him over a particular venture should we have the time, and suggests that Sataru may be interested too in order to make up for Alphinaud's frivolous purchase. Speaking with Soroban, he informs us of a mysterious message he received regarding an anonymous client. Handing us a missive, it seems to send a request to one that felled the Lord of the Revel, and request that they make haste to Hell's Lid to quell the Oni residing within. With the promise of a new adventure and a reward to boot, Soroban believes we should follow the message for now, noting that the dagger sent with the message is of exceptional value, implying that the wealth and therefore the reward of the sender may be great indeed. He then leaves for Hell's Lid, planning to pick up Tataru along the way. We convene with them both at the fiery edge of the mountain, where Tataru is enthusiastic about the reward sent, regardless of how reckless the scheme. She also questions what kind of place Hell's Lid may be, and Soroban recites his own version of the Tale of Tenzin, and of how the hero drove the Oni there into the sea. It seems as though now the tale, although thought to be a long-told story, requests the help of another hero to replicate Tenzin's deeds. Tataru retreats to a safer position, and Soroban decides too to leave the adventuring duty to us, turning to open the way to Hell's Lid, as we prepare to find out what awaits within. party hops straight into the opening made by Soroban, immediately being surrounded by the fire and magma of the volcanic environment. The first creatures here are those similar to the ones above, the glowing red Kasame that attacked the party. As we descend to a lower platform, the lava below us parts once more and reveals several Nurikabe, odd demons protruding from the lava walls. Many of the rest of this dungeon's defenders are named after different yokai from Japanese folklore, with the Nurikabe being a misleading demon that lures travellers along the wrong path and attempts to confuse them. After defeating the Nurikabe, the wall breaks ahead of us and we can proceed further down the lava passage. Creatures born of the lava itself begin appearing here, along with more of the Kasame hiding in the flowing heat. We reach another wall where a much larger Nurikabe appears, and after defeating it, the lava wall vanishes and allows the party through a small opening to reach Demon's Gate, where a large creature known as the Otake Maru awaits. As an Oni, this large demon seems to give credit to the tale of Tenzin, as it appears to be one of the remaining ones able to escape Tenzin's efforts. Additionally, the creature Otake Maru is one of the 3 great evil yokai in Japanese folklore, being a ruler of Suzuka Mountain in many stories. During our battle, however, he uses his great stone club to swing at the party. It spins heavily around itself, dealing great damage and knocking back any too close. It also smashes the club in front of itself, causing a shockwave that injures any caught in the path. When injured, the Otake Maru throws its club and shield and targets a party member. It begins slowly chasing them down, spilling lava forth from its enormous mouth. The lava deals constant damage to any caught under its path, so the chased member must run as far as possible. After a while, the Oni jumps to its club and shield to retrieve them, performing another heavy swing after collecting each one. After avoiding more spinning swipes and slams, the Otake Maru falls and we can proceed through to the lava tube, where we see a small weasel-like creature flee from the party as we approach. Giving chase, we encounter half a dozen Yumemi making the place home. After this, the nearby wall breaks open and we can follow the weasel further down, encountering serpent-like creatures known as the Kaja, as well as the Uwabami. After defeating them, we catch up to the weasel in the furnace, where on approach it transforms into another long creature known as the Kamaitachi. This beast is another famous yokai known for using dust in the wind to slice at unsuspecting passers-by. Our battle here is no different, as Kamaitachi summons powerful winds to damage the group. Calling forth the winds, it coils its body to direct them in different ways. Curling up, it unleashes the wind around itself using its own body as the eye of the storm. It also uses the patient blade to blast wind in front of itself in a huge arc. Afterwards, it forms its body into a circular shape, tunneling the wind through itself in a line to hurt the group. When injured, the creature calls forth the winds the Kamaitachi is known for, disappearing into one of the resulting tornadoes as they circle the arena. The party must try and defeat the Tsumuji Kaze sprites summoned by the Kamaitachi. After a time, the creature dashes at high speeds between the tornadoes, slicing any caught in its path, and finishes with a heavy blast of wind from the final tornado. After this, we manage to fell the creature, turning towards the opening at the far side of the furnace. After dropping down, the environment within Hell's Lid changes completely. We find ourselves not in a frothing volcano, but at a peaceful glowing spring, complete with lit pathways leading to an ancient-looking building in the distance. As we proceed, the remaining foes also reflect this change, becoming those that are more familiar with the waters here. We defeat the Appa and the Tatsunoko patrolling the first path, and head over a bridge to find a Shikigami of the spring awaiting us. Following this, we reach the outside of what we now know to be Raisin Temple, where a final 2 adversaries appear to block our way. This pair of Nue are another set of yokai, one said to be a mix of a great many creatures. In this case, each one uses differing abilities in contrast to the other. While the Stillwind Nue focuses on heavy attacks, the Boltstorm Nue swings its tail wildly and also uses electricity to force the party close. After felling the final 2, we finally reach the Polished Shell, where another mysterious foe awaits us. Genbu, an ancient turtle-like creature, appears, raising platforms outside the temple into a hexagonal arena. As a sea creature, Genbu is a Master 2 of water-based abilities, and attempts to blast the party with them at every opportunity. Hell of Water shoots jets from Genbu's position around him, while Hell of Waste drops water directly onto a party member. Soon after this, he calls forth a sinister tide and odd magical symbols appear on the platforms. A ball of water descends onto one of the platforms, and thanks to Genbu's magic, it follows a path based on the directions of the arrows from the magic symbols, with the heavy tide dealing a heavy blow to any caught in the wave. After a second sinister tide and more jets of water, Genbu leaps to the centre of the platform and shields himself with a Chelonian gate. Giving the party a direct time limit for a more serious test, he blasts the individual hexagons with water as the party attempts to destroy his shield, after which he unleashes all the energy he's managed to store, drenching the party with a mighty deluge of water. After this he continues unleashing the sinister tide, as well as his other watery attacks, after which he managed to defeat him. He glows and fades, surprisingly returning to the form of an actual small turtle, stucking his back on the stone floor of the temple. After this, we decide to help out, and Tataru flips him back upright. Many more small creatures emerge from their hiding places and surround the group with interest. Genbu is impressed with our performance and welcomes us to Raisin Temple. Soroban is shocked to hear the name of one from the Tale of Tenzin, as Genbu is actually one of the 4 Lords of the Ruby Sea. He explains that he and his comrades are each over 1,000 years old, and that after such a period of time, creatures like him gain powers such as speech and the ability to transform, and given the title of Auspice. We speak to the other Auspices at Genbu's request, one of whom is Kamai Itachi, who we fought on the journey to the temple. Genbu then explains the woes of his comrades, and tells a vision he saw of Yanxia up in flames. He tells us that the Auspices are under the influence of 2 opposing energies, the Aramitama and the Nigimitama, and that a balance must be maintained for the Auspice to retain a sense of self. When an Auspice succumbs to the Aramitama, they go wild and begin wreaking havoc across the land, causing great destruction. Genbu tells us that there are those that aid mankind in contrast, referring to the tale of Tenzin once more. He explains the true meaning of the story, that when Tenzin and the 4 Lords came to Hell's Lid, they drove out not a horde of Oni, but one very powerful Auspice, Koryu, that was lost to the Aramitama. Even the part of driving it out was partially untrue too, as Genbu explains that instead, Koryu sought to turn the once peaceful mountain into a fiery maelstrom, and so was sealed within Raisin Temple to prevent his destruction from spreading. Genbu therefore wishes us to assist in helping the other of the 4 Lords to return to their normal selves, abetting the balance in their souls by extinguishing the excess Aramitama within. The Warrior of Light agrees, and Genbu begins planning for us to take on his comrades in order to return them to the auspices they once were. And that's the end of the story and lore of Hell's Lid. A massive mountain, once calm and tranquil, awoken to fire by a raging auspice. Though the tale of Tenzin appeared true in its words, it seems as though now the 4 Lords are struggling with what could be a potentially world-shaking dilemma. The Warrior of Light meanwhile stands ready to face Genbu's comrades, turning their eyes to the great white tiger Byakko, hoping to drive the overwhelming Aramitama from their bodies for good. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Final Fantasy XIV, and I'll see you next time for the hard mode version of the Fractal Continuum.